Hello folks, it is Octavian back once again on my own YouTube channel of all places. It has been too long since my microphone has been graced by the power of my shout-casting voice, and too long since it has been uploaded to this YouTube channel here, but this is another episode of Challenger Casts, and things are getting real hectic for me. Let's take a moment while we're in these first 48, 51, 52 seconds on the clock here, and before we get into the mid-lane Varus pick that Scarra's rolling for us today, and talk about this channel. I want to upload more. I always want to upload more. I never really get to. I've been working quite a bit more than I anticipated, but that is falling off. I am now entering the last few weeks where I'm going to be working this job, and picking up my next one won't be happening for another week or two after that. However, during that week or two, I will be moving halfway across the country. And I live in the US, so it's a fairly large country to move halfway across of. Hopefully, I'll be able to get videos out as often as possible, but I really can't promise any sort of consistent schedule. Not that I've stuck to one in the past, but just as a heads up, expect consistent inconsistency moving forwards. I'll try and get as many videos as I can out to you guys. I know there are some people watching out there who really do enjoy my content. Can't for the life of me figure out why, but for those of you who do, I'll be around whenever I get the chance. Looks like Azingy and Nightmare are going to be starting off at the Gromp camp, as Japan Man actually chooses to go to his blue buff. The red team is having a party over in their jungle. Azingy nearly wasn't invited, but he just slipped in through the door, and he's going to head on home back to base. Tentacles are spinning as Scarra begins to lay down some of the poke in this Cassiopeia versus Varus matchup in the mid lane. I really don't know what direction to call that one, because Varus is a champion I have not seen in ages. Since back in the days of the Ashe Zyra bot lane, it was one of the alternative picks to Ashe if you couldn't get her because she was banned, which happened sometimes, as Cloud9 pioneered that sort of CC-heavy utility AD carry bottom lane, but this isn't even in the bottom lane, so all of that discussion, all of those points are somewhat moot, because Scarra is going to be playing this one for us, and we all know where Scarra is truly at home, in the mid lane, or in a coaching position. He did do quite well in that as well, but I believe as of now, he is simply a sort of face for Dig, as Revenge is going on in onto Lieutenant Long. He looks to be winning this trade, flashes for the first blood. And that, I believe, Revenge loading into this game, and right there, you can actually see it somewhat, has rank 5 on that champion, the new champion mastery system, and is showing off exactly why with the early first blood against the lane Rengar. Another thing that we haven't seen a lot of recently. I've seen a few games of that, but it never really has gone too terribly well. Rengar's not exactly returned to his former glory quite yet, but that doesn't mean that he's unplayable. Falling behind early first blood against Revenge's Riven is going to make it quite a bit more difficult than it could have been. Fragus off in the jungle, nice spear into Japan Man. He's forced to flash back under his tower, and that is a summoner burned basically for no impactful cooldowns. The Ignite, speaking of summoners, is dropped onto Vel'Koz, and Ulrul is going to pick up the kill into his Azingy. Nightmare with no mana left is just going to have to eat a few more rockets and walk back under his turret, as Scarra continues to get zoned off by God Piglet here. It's not too impactful though. He's only down by 5 CS, and the rest of the map is going so heavily in favor of blue team. We may not even get to see any interesting things happen because of this Varus mid pickup, if the rest of the map continues to scale in the direction that it looks to be going. A more than double CS lead for Revenge's Riven in the top lane is going to make a hell of a tough laning phase for Lieutenant Long, especially if Fragus continues to press where it hurts, coming to the top lane. Does miss that initial spear, but hits the more important one later on. That'll be fair, had that first one hit, the second one wouldn't have been necessary, but he got 2 chances and he made one of them count. And that will be, as I said, continuing to press where it hurts the most up in top lane. Already a difficult matchup for Rengar, now just so scarily snowballed, way out of control. 27-7, a 20 CS lead just as we see 5 minutes hit the clock. That is very impressive. Scarra now going down below half health as the roam from Azingy flash forced. with that tectonic disruption. Tectonic rift? Disruption? I forget exactly the name of it, but it is tectonic, and it did disrupt, so appropriate either way. Nightmare A, no more spell shield available, burned it earlier, and doesn't even matter. Auto attack from All Rule. We'll pick up yet another kill for this bottom lane Lulu. 2-0 here. 2 ships in the night, but one of them is a little bit dangerous here. Oh, All Rule, nice! Sidestep, but it doesn't matter. Zap of electrical energy from the void comes out and deletes the Lulu where she stands. Massacre is doing a great job of zoning Azingy away though. And he does so much damage just with these auto attacks, chunking away hundreds of health after rocket, with rocket after rocket again. Man leaps in off from the side. Some good pressure in the mid lane, and that is a very difficult spot for Scarra to be in terms of the jungle matchup. And I really would have liked to see Japan Man try and take advantage of that a bit earlier on. I apologize if you can hear that in the background. I live next to a train station currently, and it is quite loud sometimes. Hopefully, that's not too much of a distraction as Revenge goes in for some under-turret harass. That is how insanely out of control this top lane has become. Japan Man is looking to try and salvage it, but he doesn't have level 6. Revenge does, and he pops the passive. The swipe of his winding slash. Lieutenant Long really can't even stop Revenge from coming in to claim this kill. Well, maybe he can. Actually, Japan Man picks it up with a stretching strike after his final blob manages to reform him under the tower. And now Fragus might be in some trouble. Leaps in with the pounce, but Japan Man is sure to finalize that one. Double kill for the Zac. One of which, actually no, it wasn't a shutdown because most of that gold advantage came in the form of CS, not in kills. The first blood was there for Revenge, but other than that, he had just been laying on pressure rather than actually finalizing kills, and once he decided to go for it, Japan Man was there to show him the error of his ways. As we see a teleport come to the bottom lane, nicely timed knockup, but Revenge dodges out of it. The counter teleport coming from the other top laner. Lieutenant Long is leaping on in there with the Rengar, but I don't think he's going to be that impactful. He's not even level 6 yet. Gets turned into a cupcake, the Ignite is dropped, but that was a very, very low health Lulu. Double kill for Revenge as this teleport is paying off big time for him. Nightmare A is not going to be able to escape this one. It's a slow death, but it is an inevitable one. Triple kill for the Riven. And there, now we have the kills coming in. CS focused while in lane, kill focused while roaming about the map. That's the way to play. Scarra pushes up the mid lane, and despite the fact that I chose this replay because I saw the mid lane Varus on Scarra, rather, on the mid lane Varus, and I was like, that's gotta be interesting. We should give this one a look-see. We haven't seen anything happen mid. We saw one attempt from Zac to go for the gank there, but Japan Man just couldn't quite get the range. And Scarra, with his flash still down, really can't play too aggressive. He's been kind of neutered without that summoner, especially facing off against a Zac jungle. As you see, he just waltzes away at the first sign of damage, but here comes All Rule, the whimsy to get in range. The Glitter Lance doesn't quite connect. Nice sidestep. I was going to say good happy feet from God Piglet, but he doesn't have any feet. Good happy slithers. Doesn't quite ring as well. I think Fragus used his Q while leaping there. That was interesting. Canceling animations to kill wards quicker. Just challenger things. Lieutenant Long takes a few hundred hit points and another 100 or so off that final proc of the Broken Wings as Revenge takes barely any from the bolus. Lieutenant Long forced to buy into some defense just to try and survive these tower dives. He pops into his ulti. He does manage to avoid the wind slash. Japan Man is up in the top lane. Long. That is a very dangerous leap going in on there, but Revenge didn't quite have the cooldowns back up. He leaps from the bush one more time. Can he get the DPS? Shutdown kill goes over to Japan Man. It is very unfortunate for the Rengar that Japan Man keeps on getting these kills, and Fragus, speaking of unfortunate for Red Team, was in the right place at the right time and cleaned up a double off of that. Azingy eats a rocket or two at the back of his tentacles as O'Rule is looking to just try and lay on the harass here against a Sivir Vel'Koz. That is something that a Lulu can do. Against nearly anyone, that is something that a Lulu can do. Sivir Vel'Koz, now that is an interesting laning combo. Not exactly one I would really opt into. They don't have a ton of synergy with one another. Sivir. Lots of Sith champions in this game, but Sivir wants to rush people down, and Vel'Koz really doesn't. He doesn't benefit from that too much. His ulti requires him to stand in place. So there's something of an anti-synergy between Nightmare and Azingy's ultis. And it's sort of showing in this lane. It's a 40 CS discrepancy in favor of Massacre. Ooh, nice glitter lance. Slows him under the tower. The rocket flies wide to the right, though. As we did see Lieutenant Long waiting off to the side. Wanted to try and make some sort of roam happen to salvage himself on the map here. Oh, whoa, flash from Scarra, but the ult gets flashed away by God Piglet. Here comes Japan Man off from the side. The knockup lands. Scarra turns around. He does get the kill. 1-for-1 trade so far as Fracas is now in a little bit of a fracas with 2 members of the enemy team. Been waiting on that one the whole game. Fracas leaps on back in. Lieutenant Long takes a chunk of health as he leaps on back out again. This Nidalee is just being as annoying as possible, buying time for Revenge to show up. Cancels the animation of the ult with his E, but it's not quite enough. Now Overall down to half health as Vel'Koz fires off from the back. Nightmare flashing forward does get the kill, but at what cost? At the cost of a death. Speaking of death, Revenge is dealing it out in the mid lane. Not really sure if his name is appropriate here. I don't think the Rengar really did anything to him during that laning phase, so he's not exactly taking revenge for much. He's just taking things. Not even in some sort of retributive fashion. He is the aggressor in this situation. He is the one at fault. Scarra returns to the mid lane. Fires off a Q, starting to do some decent damage, has that man immune completed. And with that build path, he's going a bit slower, could potentially have gone for the Brutalizer. But then again, what would he have built that into? Yumu's is not too strong on Varus. Of course it is somewhat strong, any AD carry is good with the Yumu's. But speaking of Scarra, he's getting leapt on, and that will be God Piglet picking up the kill. Lieutenant Long, even though he is kind of down and out in terms of the laning phase, he has built really hard for this early game. And with good reason, he knows that he has to get those roams and make them work to be able to come back into this match. So he went to the sword shop and he asked for one of everything. Except perhaps for the Vampiric Scepter. Though that's not a sword, that's a scepter, so. Gragas gets knocked up there. Slowed as well. Some nice damage coming out from Vel'Koz, but better damage onto the Cassiopeia. Here comes Japan Man to the back lines. Let's bounce, he says to the enemy team, as Nightmare A continues on to Fragus. Come on, just one more auto attack will bring down the Nidalee, or maybe a stretching strike from Japan Man as he leaps on in. Gets the kill that his team was trying so hard for. Finally finalizes it. As Revenge dashes towards under the tower, trading under the tower once again. This Ribbon is just crazy ahead at this point. Massacre gets knocked up. Spell Shield for some extra safety despite having sidestepped it, and that actually might be really bad for him since he Spell Shielded earlier to avoid the ulti that didn't quite hit him. The Glitter Lance gets him! Pix proving to be incredibly helpful, as All Rule just about barely gets that kill. Everything worked in his favor. That, you could say perhaps that Massacre purposefully baited out the Spell Shield with the ulti, and I once again apologize. There is a giant metal behemoth flying past my window at very high speeds. And that's fairly loud, but Japan Man is getting locked up at the Tendrils of Corruption, getting chunked away by that percentage HP as well. Goes into the passive, but he knew he had it. That's why he went aggressive here. And God Piglet will be able to clean up the kill. Lieutenant Long, I don't know if you can go for the dive here. Massacre might be able to get away. One more Q is not enough. If he gets in range for just an auto attack, just a Q, but the wild growth as All Rule shows up at just the right time. Really clutching at straws here. Red team's top lane did not go very well. 1-7-4 Rengar is not what you want to see coming out of that landing phase, but they're going to have to deal with it. They have a few methods of doing that. They have a Cassiopeia who's doing quite well. Scarra's mid lane Varus Gambit not paying off in the end. Or in the 15 minutes area. Probably not the end. I speak a bit too soon there, but not paying off so far. As God Piglet is starting to scale. As that blue buff can spam out the poison to get that passive up, just needs a few targets to throw him at, and Revenge is certainly one of them. Gets knocked up, the CC chain is there, but God Piglet still might be going down. Turns around with the Ignite and some poison, but his health is just disappearing. Revenge is on a killing spree, does go down, but it's Azingy who picks up that gold, not exactly where they wanted it. Now leap in from Fragus, slow from the Glitter Lance just means some harass onto Japan Man. Azingy with a blue buff comes around from the side, but whew, both AD carries make him a target. And both of them land. His health is gone! Scarra takes the last little bit that was left. Jinx Varus is a fairly scary combo, as we just witnessed right there. That long-range potential. Pretty terrifying. Piercing arrow charged up, lands into Japan Man. Some good harass. Having killed that Vel'Koz, he did transfer the blue buff one more time over to him, and that is a really nice place to have it. Nice spell shield from Nightmare. Eats the tendrils of corruption. I believe we've only seen a single one land, and that is one of the things that Varus is known for, having a cursed ult. Even the best of us can't quite land it all the time. Massacre is getting flanked upon. Azingy slows him down with the ulti, and there is Nightmare going down as well. This might be the turnaround team fight for Red Team, but Revenge is teleporting on in. All rule now going very, very low as Azingy is still off away from the rest of his team. Glitterlance doesn't connect as he flashes away, but Fragus is there to cut him off and force him back into the jaw of the beast. Scarra being that beast. His Revenge leaps on him with the ulti, but doesn't quite land the knockup. And that's actually a waste of a flash and the ulti cooldown, unless he can make use of it here. That's pretty impactful as he takes a few more turret shots as well. If Red Team can take this fight, like, in the next few moments, they might be able to do something, but it's just so difficult for them to do so. Fragus and Revenge are both nigh on impossible to catch up to. And the Jinx and Varus are both very well protected by a Lulu. It's going to be difficult for Red Team to come back into this one. They are quite a bit behind. No global gold in their favor. They don't have a single tower down. And Dragons, for a while now, haven't really given that global gold. Oh, Lieutenant Long, you are walking into a trap. Revenge is here, and so is Fragus. Simplest kill of their lives. As there's a 1-8 Rengar on the board. Not the most impactful. Oriel comes rushing on in with the Whimsy, but God Piglet is side slithering as best he can. Some good damage onto the Lulu. A spear connects though, and there's only so much you can do when you're in a 4 versus 1. The Snake gets taken down by the Kitty Cat. And Blue Team pushes a little bit up into the middle lane. And into the top lane as Revenge has been splitting up in top. Turret down to half health. Azingy probably not going to be enough to clear that one out. Doesn't even want to go near him. But here comes Japan Man. The AoE Smite does take down a minion wave. Ranger's Trailblazer proving useful. As Lieutenant Long flashes over the wall for the leap, gets his second kill of the game. I fear it's far too little, far too late. This Blue Team takes advantage of the fact that Red has their 80 carry in the bottom lane and their top laner off stealing some low health kills to take down a secondary turret in the top lane. Scarra fires up, Q doesn't quite land, and Azingy does the same. This Blue Team is all set up to siege this mid lane, and they are a very scary siege composition. A Nidalee, a Jinx, and a Varus. That is terrifying. Revenge normally wouldn't quite fit into this composition, but he's so far ahead that doesn't really matter. Scarra does get chunked down to half health, but a very nice ulti lands into Nightmare A. Spell shields away from the Q. Manages to flash away from Revenge, but a lot of cooldowns traded back and forth there as Japan Man's going to let's bounce in onto Revenge. That is a hugely impactful member of Blue Team down. The team fighting prowess of Red Team's composition is not to be underestimated here. Zac, Cassiopeia can be very strong alongside a Sivir for engage. However, they're so far behind it might not be enough. They did get that opportunistic kill there, but they can't seem to clean anything else up. And in fact, Lieutenant Long might be going down yet again as Allrul's chasing him through the jungle. Does get hit by another bolus to be snared. Japan Man tries to get in onto Fragus here. He has no fear at all. He was going for that ward, even though there was a Zac right next to him. In the end, he decided maybe that was a little bit too ambitious, as Lieutenant Long can't even 1v1 the Lulu here. Allrul doesn't even need Massacre for this kill. Oh, he heals up off the W. Can he make it away? No. No, he cannot. I got your hopes up for nothing. However, the rest of Blue Team might be in some dire straits here, as Azingy is looking once again for the Vel'Koz flank. A double kill for Piglet is the result. Dragon might be as well. It is within the many eyes of Vel'Koz. But Revenge is here, and he is looking for his namesake. Leaps over the knockup. Nice slash gets Azingy and chunks away what remained of Japan Man's health. Zap doesn't quite hit. Almost. Heal though for the speed buff, and that is going to be God Piglet surely going down, unless they choose to focus simply onto the Zac. Or unless he has the DPS. No, he doesn't quite. The shield up from the E. And that'll be a double kill for Jinx. Revenge will go down as Lieutenant Long takes him away. finally gets his revenge for what happened in that top lane. Nice sidestep on the Glitter Lance. Avoids the zap as well. Lieutenant Long had an unfortunate laning phase, but he still knows how to dance. It's kind of difficult to dance with rockets, though. Ignite is on him. A few more auto attacks with that help from Pix and a rocket. Surely he will be going down as we swap to the top lane where Nightmare A is in a 1v1 with Fracus, getting all of the leaps. All of them. Every single one. Does pick up the kill, and Lieutenant Long isn't dead. Alrul is in some trouble as Azingy continues on with the chase here. Can Lieutenant Long get in range for the leap out of the bush? Zap comes across and Massacre gets the kill. No! After going through so much, he tried so hard, and he had come so far, but in the end, none of it really mattered. Massacre 8 now forced to turn around. God Piglet flashes in and gets the Twin Fang. Gets himself a Wolf Camp as well, with the help of Japan Man. And it looks like Rengar went to the sword store and asked for all of the upgrades for his swords, please, because he now has a Brutalizer and a Vampiric Scepter, but compare that to the enemy top laner, 8 and 5 Revenge on Riven. Black Cleaver Bloodthirster and a Brutalizer just to top it off, the icing on the sword cake. Sword cake doesn't sound very safe. Don't have that for your birthday. Go with ice cream cake or something instead. Probably healthier in the end. Though to be fair, ice cream cake also probably not that healthy. For different reasons than sword cake, though. Ooh, ulti onto Japan Man. Scarra just looking for any target to CC here as Revenge goes on in. They are just looking for this engage because Blue Team's knows they're so far ahead, but they do have to watch out for that Cassiopeia. God Piglet picks up a kill onto Fragmus, has a lot of DPS from the back line. Lieutenant Long is looking for a counter-engage now alongside Nightmare, but Azingy goes down to a snipe from Scarra. Leaps on out of the bush. Scarra now at less than half health. Lieutenant Long, if he can land one more Bolas, get in range for one more Q, he'll have this kill, but he just can't do it. Nightmare Egg chasing way too far, way too deep for this Lulu kill. Gets turned into a cupcake and given a few rockets for dinner. No sword cake, but it accomplishes the same thing. God Piglet is still maybe looking for this fight, though. He has a ton of damage. No, that is the surrender vote. 23 minutes in or so. Red Team gives up the ghost, and I reached the end of my shoutcast for you folks. Thank you all for watching. This has been another episode of Challenger Casts, and I am Octavian. I will see you all next time.